Hang on a second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. Need to take my medicine before I forget.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
I sound all right?
Yes, you sound fine.
Okay, so do you. All right. You remember the intro?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a while since, it feels like it's been forever since we've done this.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey there, Marvel fans. Oh, great. More clones.
Iron Man saves the day with tiny dancing robots.
X-Men wedding. It's a thing.
All this and more on this week's episode of the 6 Months Behind podcast.
Three, two, one.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for the week of 12/17 and 12/24 and whatever other weeks we can throw in there because we didn't feel like doing a podcast over the Christmas holiday. And this week we are Larry Roberts and Don Lusk and Gene Okerlund. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Gene Okerlund died this afternoon.
Did he?
He did. Yeah. He was like, I don't know, 82 or something. He died this afternoon.
I didn't mean Gene Okerlund.
Yeah, he passed away. And the reason we're Larry Roberts and Don Lusk is they passed away also. Larry Roberts created the internet, is one of the people who created the internet. And Don Lusk is the guy who drew Pinocchio and Snow White and some other stuff.
All the real classic Disney animated stuff. I mean, Don Lusk is, he kind of pioneered the Disney animation studio.
Right. And Larry Roberts came up with the technology to connect computers, and universities and the military didn't know what to do with it. And he was like, they communicate with each other. He's like, they're like, yeah, but why? He's like, okay, you can send mail to each other. You can send information to each other.
Yeah. Some guy at NORAD can talk to some guy at a university in Utah instantly, or as instant as you could get in the 1970s.
Literally, he had to go to university campus, to military base, selling people on the ideal of what the internet would do.
Right.
And he I think it was Stanford and UCLA were the first two schools he talked into it. He never talked them into it.
Yeah, dude. And here we are today, making this show possible because of Larry Roberts.
Yes.
Dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've been gone a while.
Yeah, it was the Christmas holiday and then New Year's, and you were traveling. We were doing family things, so we put the pause button on the podcast. Yep. So that means this week we have like 43 comic books to talk about.
It's okay. Which means Donald Trump decided to put the pause button on the federal government. So, we did the same thing. It worked out for both of us. Yeah.
Yeah. They're a little different, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
One's a internet show and the other's the literal government. Anyway, yeah, we're going to discuss all the books that came out the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's. That's a lot of comic books. I think it's like 43 comics. So this is going to be one of those episodes where we're hitting the highlights. Some of these comics are going to be, yep, that came out. I hope you enjoyed it. And then some of them we might dig into. But we got an hour to get through 43 comic books, and that's what we're going to do. But in the meantime, or before we get to that, I suppose, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com.
And just to let you know, we do discuss spoilers on the show. If you haven't read all these comic books, which how you haven't done that yet is beyond me, pause here, come back later. We'll still be here discussing all of your comic book needs.
There's so many books. I'm actually having trouble finding them to open to look at. Speaking of which, we were going to record this, yesterday or the day before?
Well, we were going to do it, yesterday, and the Marvel app didn't work.
Yeah, I just decided, hey, nobody needs the app. It's not that important.
Dude, I'm telling you, it was something about rolling over to a new year. It threw the servers off. Because I checked the Marvel support Twitter today, and they were responding to tons of people saying, hey, I'm trying to sign up for your service, or hey, I have your service, and it's not working. And they're like, yeah, we had an outage. The service is back up now. Please try again. And I was like, guys, just because the year changed over doesn't mean.
Yeah, this isn't Y2K. There wasn't tens of thousands of computers crashing. It was just your app.
Yeah, man. Like, dude. And I understand Marvel support's probably two dudes in an office somewhere who do support work for several companies or several platforms. I understand that. First of all, the problem with that is that Marvel should be dedicating more resources to this. Second, the service has been out for years, and it's really time to, dude, shit or get off the pot. Either do the service or don't.
When Vince McMahon 10 years ago, he had basically a pay-per-view channel, like a lot of pay-per-view channels now, where he would stream WWE programming. He said, "Oh, we're going to create a new network," and everybody thought he was going to create a pay-per-view channel. No, what he did was make the WWE network, and it struggled for the first year or so. Now, I heard an estimate coming home today. I was listening to one of my podcasts, the Eric Bischoff podcast, 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff and Duder. They have an estimate worldwide. They've got 10 million subscribers right now. I thought about that. 10 million subscribers, $10 a month. It's $100 million a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's $1.2 billion a year. Because they said, this is what we're going to do, and they put all their resources behind it.
Yeah. That's roughly how many people are playing World of Warcraft and have been for a little over 12 years.
I understand.
Yeah.
Marvel could generate those numbers with this app if they would put their mind to it. There's 1 million, 2, 3, 4 million people that they realize they could read a whole Marvel catalog, or most of it, minus the Defenders and Marvel Team Up.
But the majority of what people want to read. Man.
Yeah. $10 a month. It's there. Boom. Yeah. More than you could ever read. You could start in chronological order with Fantastic Four #1 in 1961 and read every book that came out monthly till you get here if you want to. That's how you can set your browse tab up.
Yeah, if you wanted to.
Dude, I don't anyway, there's no marketing, there's no plan, there's no tech support, there's no nothing.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, people want to use this app. I know plenty of people who have said it's a great service in theory, but in execution, the app is often so janky, or it's so hard to log in and get the thing to work properly the first time. You just put it down.
Yeah. Dude, I'm with you, man.
Anyway, yeah, we do this podcast not because we're making gobs of money doing it, but because we're not making any money doing it.
No, we're losing money.
Yeah, we're spending money.
Every year we're spending money.
Yeah, we spend money every week or every month and every year to, deliver this to you. So there's an audience behind this app. There's an audience to be had for this service, and it would drive retail to the brick and mortar stores that you're so desperately trying not to piss off with this service.
Yes.
Because that's what it is. That's the reason you have the 6 month behind publish date. It is so that you don't interrupt traffic to your brick and mortar stores. But dude, this service right here is how you drive traffic to those stores.
As we speak, I'm trying to open our first book to be reviewed, and it said, "Oops, an error occurred. Try again later."
Yeah, I'm getting all kinds of stuff with that.
So we're just going to work our way through this because we need to put it on the air.
Yeah, real quick. Did you have a good holiday?
I did. Yes, I had a very good holiday.
Okay.
My parents are in town. My sister came in town for a while, went to Birmingham. You and Amanda and I went to lunch. We had a good time, man.
Yeah, it was good. All right.
We had some friends come up for the new year. So, yeah.
Yeah, you got tickets to a basketball game that you couldn't go to because it was the same night as the Alabama-Oklahoma game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great, man.
Yeah, it was good.
It was great. Yep.
All right. So getting into our comic books this week, we're starting with our Infinity event with Black Widow #1.
Did we discuss spoilers?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, cool. I got like 6 things going on here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Which is a book that won't open. However, I remember this book. Jerry Dugan wrote it. It ties together. If you go from where Black Widow was at the end of Tales to Suspense to young Wolverine, leaving her to Time Stone in a bathroom in one of her hideouts, this book fills the gap as to what happened in between. And it was a very good read. Jerry Dugan wrote it. He's writing a lot of this Infinity stuff. So, yeah, it was good, man. It was very good. The art was good in it, too.
Yeah, it's a Jerry Dugan event. I like that she runs into Merlin, and Merlin's basically in this time.
Oh, yeah, I'd forgotten that. Yeah.
He's just like a hipster.
Yeah, that was entertaining.
Yeah, I like Merlin to begin with, but Merlin of the Marvel Universe is really entertaining. He's always got this air of mystery about him.
Yeah,
which is when Merlin's the best. So running into him and he's just like real casual about all these demons that she's having to deal with is real funny.
He's like, yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah. So next up is Champions Infinity Countdown Champions #1. Nova gets a call in the middle of the night. Warbringer's on the warpath. If you don't remember who Warbringer is, Nova dealt with him in the past in his solo series from a year or two ago. He's a Chitauri warlord who likes to wreck stuff. So he flies off, decides he can't deal with Warbringer on his own, so he calls in the Champions. They go off to this alien planet that's totally wrecked. Ultron spying on them. They catch up with Warbringer, who has gone to the planet where Thanos is keeping the whole entire Chitauri army. And yeah, it's going to be a showdown with the Champions and Thanos. What this has to do with the Infinity event, I don't know, but we'll see.
The Chitauri and Thanos are wrapped up in the Infinity event. There's Thanos. You can't have an Infinity event without Thanos.
I understand. Thanos isn't involved in the Infinity event at this time.
By the way, it came at #6. The last issue of the Infinity event came out a week or two ago, and everyone's reaction is what just happened, and it's interesting. It's extremely interesting. You're just like, what did we do here? We killed this hero and we killed that hero and you did this and what why? Yeah, dude.
Okay. Yeah. We'll read about it in a few months.
Jerry Dugan's taking some heat for it.
Okay. Well, he no longer works for Marvel, so I'm sure he doesn't care.
What's he doing?
Creator and stuff.
I'm trying to reboot my app, by the way. Next up, we have Champions. Nope.
No, Darkhawk 2.
Darkhawk 2. I'm looking at the list. Sorry, Darkhawk 2.
Infinity Countdown, Darkhawk #2.
Yes, which, as I said, I'm rebooting the app, so we'll see what happens. This was a good book. It continues Chris. What's Chris last? I want to say it's Chris Roberts, but I don't think that's right. Anyway, it continues his path of Darkhawk and connecting him to the Raptors, which we have been seeing fighting the Nova Corps, and Deathhead came and captured him. It's pretty funny. Deathhead came and captured him, took him to the Raptors' homeworld, where they needed 2 sacrifices, one of which was Robbie Ryder, Rich's brother, one of which was Chris, whoever, and they created a Darkhawk / Talon with the power of the Phoenix Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that book took a real turn that I did not expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last like 4 pages of that are like, okay, all right.
Yeah, all right, yeah. You just killed our hero, and we're going to do a Phoenix Force thing here. But sure, let's go.
Yeah, okay. And this, I'm suddenly interested in Darkhawk. That's weird how that happens.
Yeah, there you go.
Moving on to Avengers.
Hang on, I just got Darkhawk open. I'm thinking about Avengers number 3. I know they're fighting the Celestials.
Specifically, it's the final host.
Loki's there, pulling all the strings. She-Hulk and Thor getting closer, which we've alluded to in the past. Okay.
Yeah. Also, like, they did all this character development in that solo She-Hulk comic, and then immediately erased it all. Jennifer Walters went from being after what happened to her with Thanos during the events leading to the Second Civil War, she went through this whole 12-issue story arc of her trying to get a handle on herself, doing so in the final couple of issues, and then all of a sudden we're just going to wipe that out?
No, she reconciled herself to being this beast occasionally. And they're going somewhere with this. And the She-Hulk is Jennifer Walters. And this is one of those times you got to trust Jason Aaron, and I won't give you spoilers, and just say, this is going somewhere.
See, that was the thing, is like, Jason Aaron's too good of a writer to do this.
Yeah, dude. They're because the whole, I've joked about it a lot, but you've got pairs of heroes here. You still got Panther and Doctor Strange. Originally, it's She-Hulk and Ghost Rider, and in this issue, or maybe the next one, it's going to become She-Hulk and Thor. And when it becomes She-Hulk and Thor, it is this one. They go to old Asgard to have a discussion with Odin about what's happening, and that leads somewhere that has long-lasting ramifications.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It came up on my tablet. I got you.
Okay.
Apparently too much or not enough. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, one of those. Dude, you've got the Avengers in the hands of Jason Aaron. He's writing a story here. He's crafting a story with the Celestials, who I always think are cool. They're going to go talk to the Eternals here shortly. Yeah, man. It's good. It's probably one of the best things Marvel's publishing currently.
Yeah, it's really good.
Champions number 21. We're dealing with what was this, Mastermind or whatever his name is in the Arctic or whatever. Yeah, he captured like the nature spirit of Alaska or whatever, and has been using it as a energy siphon, which the Champions didn't know and Alpha Flight suspected. Alpha Flight and Champions spend a few minutes kind of like going back and forth with each other, and in fact even fighting each other. And then when all is revealed, they team up and kick this dude's rear end, and the Champions gain a new teammate. So yeah, it was all right.
It was all right. Next up, we have our X books, and there's a bunch of them, but we begin with Cable number 158. This was an entertaining little read. Cable is still fighting the technovirus that is in his arm, and in this issue, he's doing it in the form of a flashback that takes place after the original X-Force 21 from 1993, I think. 1991, so it came out probably 93. Yeah. So if you want to know chronologically where this fits, that's where. If you like seeing this old X-Force team, Boom Boom, Cannonball, Warpath, Domino, Pharaoh, and Shatterstar, it's a good read. And along the way, they're still doing stuff with Warlock, and I'm sure that's going somewhere because Warlock is essentially a technovirus, period. So I know it's going somewhere, but we'll see. We'll see where it's all going.
Wait, Warlock.
Yes, Warlock.
He shows. I didn't read Cable. He shows up in this.
The Warlock from the New Mutants. Yes.
Okay, because he shows up in New Mutants too, and has been for a minute. So I was just making sure.
Warlock.
Yeah, at the end of every issue, there's a thing going on with Warlock.
Okay. Well, there's a thing going on with him in Cable too.
Okay. Okay, they can be in two places at once. Whatever.
Maybe if I took time to read it, the two are connected, but I don't know.
Could be. Domino number 3. So I've never been a huge Domino fan. I've never been a Domino hater either. Domino's just kind of always been like this B-list X-Men who shows up occasionally, and I just don't have any particular opinion on. And Gail Simone has changed that with this series, and we're just 3 issues in. First of all, the art's phenomenal. David Baldion's doing the art here. But she's doing a really good job of characterizing Domino. Making her both relatable and a sympathy character, because we're learning about her origins, as well as just being a gunslinging badass. So the first couple pages of this issue all get told in black and white, and it's essentially a glimpse into her origin. And it's not dissimilar from Logan. She was an experiment by some mad scientists. She's remembering all this because she's been knocked out during this fight with Topaz. She gives Topaz the business, only to find out that it was one of her teammates that probably has turned on her, but she doesn't know who. So she gets Amadeus Cho to look into it. He doesn't know. And she's off to consult a Far Eastern sage about what she should do next. Turns out that that wise sage that she's looking for is Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah.
Next.
It's really good. I'm thoroughly enjoying a series about Domino, which is not what I thought would happen.
You know what I'm not enjoying is The Hunt for Wolverine, Claws of a Killer.
This is the one about the zombies, right?
Yeah. You got Dakin, you got Lady Deathstrike, and they're in this town, and it's got a bunch of zombies, and they're fighting zombies and trying not to become zombies. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what any of it has to do with Logan.
I'm the same way. I don't understand what it has to do with Logan or finding Wolverine.
I'll tell you how far I went.
Yeah.
I went to Wikipedia to figure out where these Hunt for Wolverine books and then the Return of Wolverine book are all tied together to try and make sense of the madness. And it was like a 50,000 word Wikipedia page, and I couldn't make any sense of it. I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, you and I've already discussed this is all a money grab.
It is. It's yeah.
Some of them are good, like the one with Daredevil and all that, where they're trying to track him down. That's actually really good. This Adamantium agenda is not awful. But this Claws of a Killer, dude, no.
Adamantium agenda is actually fairly decent.
Well, it at least makes sense. They, some heroes are looking for Wolverine. They're following leads. They find, this black market auction of a superhero's DNA. They track down the lead to the market because they think it may be Wolverine's. It's not, but it also is. And, stuff goes down. It makes sense in the context, and it's a fun way to tell a little story with this group of heroes while they look for Wolverine. It makes sense. The Claws of a Killer thing, somebody wanted to write a zombie thing, and this is how they did that.
Yeah.
That's all that was.
Yes. X-Men in Blue, number 29. I'm going to find an article previewing Exterminated, which is the X-Men crossover event coming up. We probably get issue 1 on Unlimited next month, maybe sooner. Because issue 5, which was the last issue, just came out. And this whole X-Men Blue thing, and we got 43 books to discuss, so I don't want to spend too long discussing this, has really drug out, okay? And when I say X-Men Blue, we're talking about that were brought back from their place in time to this place in time by Hank McCoy. And, the whole storyline of this team has drawn out for a long time, years now. And it's being wrapped up in Exterminated. I won't tell you how it ends, but the X books and all these relaunches that Marvel's doing, all the number ones we got a couple of weeks ago, the number one we got this week, the number ones that are coming, they're retooling the books. C.B. Lebowski is putting his mark on where the line is going to improve sales, bad sales. This is leading to the cancellation of X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold and eventually X-Men Red, and leading to the Uncanny book.
Yeah, they're bringing back Uncanny X-Men.
And I'm telling you, these stories are really good. You just, it's one of those things where you guys got to trudge through the mud in this thing to get there. And this issue is trudging through the mud. James Hudson is at a bar somewhere in California, and some redhead who kind of looks like a fat Jean Grey is hitting on him. And, he just wants to drink a beer and be left alone. And turns out he's the last, dude, what is he? He's the last symbiote or the last
the poisons from the venom.
Poison. That's what I was trying to think of. He's the last poison. He starts killing people. Then the X-Men, young X-Men, the X-Men Blue team, they start fighting with him and they're trying to save him. And then Daken just shows up and puts a sword through his heart and says, I took care of this problem for you.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
I promise all this is going somewhere.
Yeah, I felt like X-Men Blue has been in a rut for probably the last 10 issues. But if this is going somewhere, then I'm okay with it.
Well, you and I disagree because I kind of like the Mother Vine line or the Mother Vine storyline. That whole in space thing with poisons, I didn't enjoy.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that
Mother Vine
either.
storyline with Magneto and Emma Frost and some other characters, that I enjoyed some.
It wasn't terrible, but I didn't love it either.
And now we have X-Men Gold number 30. The wedding of Kitty Pryde and Peter Rasputin. Actually, I thought Rasputin was wrong when Rasputin was right, but I have no idea because
Rasputin is a teddy bear that came out in the 80s.
Sure, whatever.
Anyway, X-Men Gold number 30. First of all, the cover looks nice. That's great. This is like a 40-page comic book. It's a lot of like Kitty and Peter's past and then present, and it all starts during the rehearsal. Illyana says something to Kitty that I think has an effect on her. Illyana basically tells her, look, if you two were going to work out, it would have happened already. So don't try to force it now. Which all leads up to this. We have all the wedding stuff. Young Logan is there. Wolverine, the one they're hunting, he shows up for a brief moment, which means somehow he knows who they are and what's all going on. And somehow he's keeping tabs on everybody, but nobody can find him. I don't understand this.
And in this Wikipedia page, it explained all these one-page and one-panel sightings and how they all link together. And supposedly he's just missing everyone. Well, he didn't just miss everybody at this wedding. They're all there. All you got to do is walk, hey, yo, what's up? And he doesn't do it.
Yeah. All he has to do is jump down from the roof he's hiding out on. He's even got a suit on and just be like, hey, I'm here. Glad I didn't miss this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some funny stuff where Scott and young Gene are talking. Hey, yeah, right over there's where we got married, or where we're supposed to get married, or something. And Scott's like, "Oh, this is never gonna not be weird." Um, there's some back and forth between Rogue and Gambit, which is a theme through this comic book. And
Keep flipping pages till you get to the end, by the way.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
No, but I want you to get to the very end where they advertise the upcoming book.
Okay. We're getting there.
I know.
Okay.
I've been waiting 6 months. I can wait another 2 minutes.
Kitty's walking down the aisle. They're exchanging vows. They're remembering all the hard times, all the good times. Peter goes to put the ring on Kitty's finger. She phases through him. She can't control her phasing, and then she just slips away and leaves him there at the altar. Turns out the wedding's not happening. Everybody goes to the reception anyway, because why not? Later that evening, Peter and Kitty meet on the cliff that they're always hanging out at. They talk through some things. They realize this is not what they wanted, or I don't know. Anyway, the whole thing's a bait and switch. They promised you a wedding for Kitty and Colossus. What it became was a wedding for Gambit and Rogue, because there's this conversation that Gambit's a part of at the reception, and he decides to propose right there, and they just get hitched right then and there. They literally usurp the wedding of Peter and Kitty and get married, and it was all a bait and switch. And I had a feeling something like this might happen when they were doing that Rogue and Gambit miniseries. And turns out, yeah, Mr. and Mrs. X is going to be a Rogue and Gambit ongoing series that no one gives a shit about.
So here's what they did. I get Marvel previews, right?
Yeah.
And I still buy books off the stand.
Yeah.
So you've got Exterminated, this big X-Men crossover that's coming up, right? So I went to, I forget who I was talking to at the time, if it was Jason or Neil, one of them was there, and I said, go give me this. And then there's this big black page with an X on it, classified. We can't discuss it. I was like, what is it? They said, I don't know, man. It's some kind of new X book. I said, what's it about? I don't know. That they literally, nobody knew what it was about. Stood there. I said, all right, pull me a copy of it. Pull me the first couple of issues. And I'm expecting, understand we're getting Exterminated. So I'm expecting a new Uncanny book, a new Wolverine book, all this crap going on with Wolverine. Okay, I'm expecting something like that. Instead, I get Mr. and Miss X. And I'm going to tell you, the book totally sucked. It cost me $6 and it totally sucked.
Dude.
And that's the kind of marketing that Marvel does instead of hyping this friggin' app.
Yeah. Is there anybody out there, email us if there is, that wants a Rogue and Gambit romance / action series?
Because when you said this book is 40 pages, about 6 or 8 of it is the advertising for Mr. and Miss X.
Yeah. You get a bunch of alternative covers. You get some of the early interior art. Yeah.
Dude, I was so pissed when that book came out. That's the kind of thing that makes me want to not buy a book at the newsstand anymore. Because they did this sort of thing.
They've literally spent, the last 10 issues of this comic book hyping up this wedding only to, at the last minute, have it not happen. And this is different from the Batman thing.
Right.
The Batman thing made sense in the story context. This was literally in the last minute, in the final issue of the story arc. All of a sudden somebody got cold feet and decided not to do it. And there's like, oh, we can throw the Gambit and Rogue thing in there. And you know what? I like Rogue and Gambit. Like, they're fine, but they don't this was not the way to do this.
No. And they throw these teasers in there that tell you that Kitty and Peter are probably going to get back together in the future. Dude, it really if you can tell by the fact that I'm irritated 6 months later that they ripped me out of this money, you can imagine how mad I was today I got the book.
Yeah, I can only imagine what the cover price was for X-Men Gold.
It was $6.
Okay, that's not as bad as I thought.
No, not for X-Men Gold. For because I didn't get X-Men Gold number 30. No.
Yeah.
I got the new. I thought they were launching some kind of crossover or a new book, which they were, but I thought it was going to be a new book worth a flip, not Mr. and Miss X.
Right. Yeah. Whereas X-Men Gold number 30 was probably $8.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway,
New Mutants. While you're talking about New Mutants, I'm gonna look up what the cover price of X-Men 30 was.
New Mutants, Dead Souls number 4. This is actually a pretty good book. I had my doubts at the start of this series, but it has gotten better with each issue. The interior art is much better. They're fighting Karma's brother who she killed, and like the first 2/3 to 3/4 of the book is kind of a what if thing. It's he goes into Magic's mind, he goes into Illyana's mind and determines what her plan is and how she's going to save this crashing airplane and save herself and Richter or save all these people. And once he gets that information, then you realize, okay, we've been watching kind of an alternate reality or a what if thing, or reading, I should say, not watching. And then it goes back to they're back on the plane, which is where you left off in issue 3. Then Illyana figures out what to do, and she saves everyone on the plane, and the rest of the New Mutants find her, and everybody doesn't live happily ever after because they still got to find Karma's brother.
Yeah. Who's writing this?
I don't know.
I don't either. It's somebody that it's a writer I should know, and that's why it's so good, but I can't remember who it is. But yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, I got fooled. I'll be honest. I was reading this thinking, "Oh my God, what is happening?" And then realizing, "Oh, this is all happening in Illyana's mind."
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought they had killed Richter.
Yeah, I did too. And I was like, "Oh." And normally little gimmicks like that would tick me off, but it was so well done, that I didn't see it coming. It was a really nice twist. So yeah, this New Mutants comic is great. And I like the New Mutants to begin with. So it's nice to see that team back together and the book be high quality. The art's good too.
And I will tell you who it is if the friggin' thing would load in my app, but it's not. So let's move on to Old Man Logan number 41.
Hey, have you ever seen the movie The Most Dangerous Game?
I don't think so.
Okay. Gary Busey kidnaps Ice-T, and Gary Busey and his hunting buddies release Ice-T in the wilderness and hunt Ice-T like human game. It's also a short story by I forget who. I read it in high school. It's called The Most Dangerous Game, and it's this guy who he's a big game hunter and he goes hunting for people because that's what he's into. That's basically what this Old Man Logan issue is with Old Man Logan and Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad. It's good, but that's what it is.
Does Squirrel Girl exist in the Marvel 616 continuity?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now why don't we have Kraven being portrayed one way over in Squirrel Girl and a different way here?
Artistic interpretation.
I hate that. Let me rephrase that. I don't hate artistic interpretation. I hate that in the same universe at the same time, within a week or two, I don't know if they came out in the same week or not, you've got him being portrayed one way in one book. It's just basically a laughable goofball. And in the Logan book, he's being portrayed as I feel he should be, a great villain.
Yeah, the problem with that is that by the nature of comic books, writers come and go, and everyone has a different take on the characters. So they all become this amalgamation of different things. I mean, Peter Parker today, or even Dan Slott's Peter Parker, is not the Peter Parker that Stan Lee and Steve Ditko were writing in the 1960s.
I understand that, but when Stan Lee and Steve Ditko were writing him and he appeared in another book, that character appeared as he did in the Lee and Ditko book. If he broke his arm in Spider-Man 31 or 32 and then he showed up in the Fantastic Four the next week, he had a broken arm.
And also understand like what Squirrel Girl is. Squirrel Girl's meant to be off the wall, zany and goofy. And so if Kraven came in there acting like his normal self, it'd throw the book off. I understand your criticism, and I would normally agree with you, but in this particular circumstance, I think it's fine.
We'll agree to disagree.
Okay.
Because we have a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
Moving on to our Spider-Man books and Renew Your Vows number 20. You were going to say something?
No, I was going to introduce Spider-Man.
Oh, I'm sorry. Arguing and move on. Because I'm right, as usual. Now I've completely lost my train of thought.
Renew Your Vows number 20.
Thank you. You know, I worked today.
Yeah.
Drank a lot of caffeine. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I didn't get enough sleep last night. What's really going on is I'm off one of my medications, which is why I didn't get enough sleep.
Okay, now the podcast makes sense.
Okay, yes. I ran out of one of my meds over the holidays, and I actually phoned in the refill before the weekend, and they refilled like one of my meds and then didn't refill the other one. Anyway, now we know what I sound like when I'm off my meds. Okay, Renew Your Vows number 20. Spider-Rette, Spider-Rudy, Spider whoever the young girl has a dream, and she dreams that she's a villain out terrorizing tourists in Times Square, which is fine until she wakes up and what she dreamed really happened. So then, rather than talking to her parents, because you're all superheroes and that's a smart thing to do, she just goes out to solve it herself.
Typical teenager thing.
Spider-Man hooks up with Wolverine. There's really some good interaction between Spider-Man and Wolverine. Here, I'm shortening this book for need of time. Turns out Mr. Sinister has cloned her, and that's a clone of herself that's running around. At least I assume that's what it is. That's what you're led to believe. Really some good interaction between Wolverine and Spider-Man here. This is a good story. And it's not that the offbeat kind of goofy stories you get sometime in Renew Your Vows. It's a good, entertaining story with good character development in it and good characters in it, because you get the X-Men and Wolverine thrown in there and Mr. Sinister. So yeah, it was cool.
I actually really like this. I've really enjoyed this series. Somewhere about the time that they took what's the daughter's name?
They matured her. They took her from being 5 to being a teenager.
Yeah, she was like 8 years old to being a teenager, and once she became a teenager, she was great. Like the series has really improved. You've had a couple hit or miss issues. The cruise ship issue was awful, but
oh god, yes,
this was really good, and I think the story is going to be good. So yeah, Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, not bad, surprisingly.
No, it wasn't. It was actually very good.
Was Ben Reilly number 20 the same?
No. It was, good Lord. It was okay. Hang on. Dude, this freaking thing won't load my books, and anyway. I at least gotta look at the cover so I can remember it. This is funny because this isn't really a Ben Reilly book anyway. It's a Ben Reilly book and Kane book. And it's kind of like a Marvel team up in that they're both taking place that's not a Marvel team up. You're telling two different stories at the same time. So Ben Reilly is off chasing the cure for this girl, and that's, where he winds up fighting one of the X-Men characters, Sauron, in the last few pages. Meanwhile, Kane winds up fighting one of the mindless ones, who somehow is left over from when Mephisto invaded Las Vegas.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's okay.
Dude, when was the last time Sauron showed up in a comic book?
I'm pretty sure that's who it is, because at first I thought it was the lizard, and
Yeah,
then
no,
I realized it wasn't.
Pterodactyl Man from the Savage Land. That's Sauron.
Yeah, it's Sauron. No, it's
Yeah,
Sauron.
that's him. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm looking at the comic. That's Sauron. But, dude, okay. I'm surprised this comic book's made it to number 20.
Dude, this thing sells amazingly well. I mean, if you look at the Comic-Con sales numbers every month, this thing is always in the top 50 and usually in the top 25.
That's insane. This book sucks. Occasionally it'll have an issue that doesn't totally suck, that's just okay. But dude, this book blows.
I'm with you.
Just because Peter David's name is on it?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. I guess there's a contingency of Spider-Man fans, and it's probably the same people who are buying Renew Your Vows, who really like pre-Brand New Day Spider-Man, who really like those old villains, who liked the Clone Saga, who liked what Peter Parker was when he was with Mary Jane. They like that old Spider-Man from the 90s and early 2000s. And I guess those are the people buying this and reading this and spending their money on it, because there's a serious divide among Spider-Man fans. There's the people who are okay with Brand New Day and like the new stuff, and there's the people who would shoot Dan Slott in the face with a bazooka if they ever found him in public. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay.
And we're going to talk about Iron Man in a few minutes, and I love what he did with Iron Man #1.
Yeah, I do too. Spectacular Spider-Man number 305. This is kind of wrapping up the alternate universe Spider-Man story that they were telling, where they went back in the past and changed things, and it changed the timeline. So now they've got to go back and do it again. This universe's Peter Parker became a tech billionaire and gave up being Spider-Man. He has resolved to pick up the mantle of Spider-Man again. Doctor Doom, Captain America, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and J. Jonah Jameson have found the Fantastic Four's old time machine, but before they can use it, I want to say Hydra, but that ain't it. It's Norman Osborn and all his cronies show up. There's a big fight. Peter Parker shows up. This universe's Peter Parker helps them out, becomes Spider-Man again. They get back to the past, or their correct timeline. And this universe's Peter Parker is out here busting skulls. Captain America dies in the process, but that's the sacrifice, the push that they needed to really bring it home. It was good. I enjoyed this. I always like this alternate timeline stuff. Spectacular Spider-Man Annual #1. I would love to tell you about it, but I read it 2 weeks ago and I can't pull it up in Marvel Unlimited, so I don't remember what it's about. I read both of these issues at the same time, so yeah.
Yeah. Next we have Spider-Gwen number 33. She goes on trial, and what happens is Foggy Nelson, who's the DA, essentially decides he doesn't want the problems and publicities and everything that goes with a trial, so they offer a plea deal, which she has no choice but to accept because they didn't charge her. So she's simply sentenced for the few crimes that she committed, sent to the Supermax prison that she's broken into before, and begins just getting horrendously beat up every day, and just decides to take the beatings as a punishment for what she did and to keep the Vulture from having the satisfaction of seeing her fight back. Captain America comes in at the end, this universe's Captain America, and offers her a deal with her and Sharon Carter to get out of jail and work for S.H.I.E.L.D. Gwen doesn't want to do it. You got this last 3 panels that I don't understand at all. I guess that's her father, and the radioactive spider is coming down to bite him, I guess.
I don't know. It is her father, but I wasn't sure what that was about either.
I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this wraps up because the next issue is the last one. So I don't know. Like you've done so much here. I don't know how you resolve this or where it's even going. Which is part of what I've enjoyed about this Spider-Gwen series is I never know where it's going.
She's getting a new series, but this is the last series with these writers, and rather than just changing the writer and continuing numbering, these days you have to stop the book and relaunch it with a number one.
Yeah,
and then confuse it with legacy launch numbering.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, it was good.
It was very good.
I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I also enjoyed her part in Into the Spider-Verse, which you also saw this week.
I did, yes.
Yeah, and you enjoyed it, correct?
Oh, dude, I enjoyed it immensely. The only thing I didn't enjoy, with all of my many health problems, I get migraines occasionally. And knock on wood, I haven't had one in a year, maybe. I don't know, 6 months at least. And there were so many lights and so many visuals and so many. Help me out, brother. Yeah, but it was more than that. It was the way they were twisting and spinning and
the motion effects.
The motion effects with the colors.
Yeah.
It's technically called photosensitivia. Okay. It's a weakness to light, and it almost threw me into a full-blown migraine.
Yeah. They actually put a disclaimer up right before the movie about that.
I didn't see the disclaimer. I would have gone and got my sunglasses out of the car.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe it didn't run in front of yours, but it ran in front of mine that, hey, there's a lot going on in this movie. So if you're sensitive to color and light, or seizures, be aware.
Yeah, dude, it nearly, but it was great. I absolutely loved it. My brother-in-law, who isn't a big hero fan, is not an animated fan at all, loved the movie also.
Yeah, that movie, that's the best movie I've seen this year, last year. And I saw a lot of good movies in 2018.
Better than Infinity War?
Yeah.
I won't go that far.
They're two different movies, but yeah, it's a better movie.
Nah.
Okay. Anyway, Amazing Spider-Man number 801. This is Dan Slott's final issue. It's a real simple Spider-Man story. It's basically just resetting Peter Parker and wiping the slate for Nick Spencer to come along in the next issue. It doesn't introduce any new villains. He doesn't do a whole lot. He's just being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man for a few pages, and that's all you need. And
it follows that character that he saves at the very beginning through Spider-Man's. I just hit my microphone. Through Spider-Man's career, and then at the end, his daughter is sitting there, and she's like, he's not a real hero because he's not Thor or the Silver Surfer or somebody like that saving the universe every day. And her dad, who we followed through this thing and followed as he's had children, et cetera, explains, no, he really is a hero because he saved my life, and that's why I have you. And maybe it's his granddaughter, I think. I don't know.
No, it's his daughter. Or his niece. It's his niece.
Anyway, he explains how Spider-Man. So I really enjoyed it.
No, it was really good. It's just not it's not necessarily a complicated Spider-Man story. It's very much he has, in the last two issues, stripped this Peter Parker down to his core, stripped this Spider-Man down to his core to leave a blank slate for Nick Spencer.
Yeah, which is fine. It was good.
Yeah, it was very good. Yeah.
You like that alternate universe stuff?
It could be good, yeah.
Because here's what they did in Spider-Man Deadpool number 34. And this is going to be brief because I have trouble making sense of it. 2 issues ago, they took the old Deadpool and put him in 2018 with the 616 Spider-Man, which is all good and fine because this dozen issues finally made sense for issues 32 and 33 because you understand they're fighting the LMD thing and they're fighting whatever they call the master mold here, and it all makes sense. Well, oh no, we're not screwing with the timeline. So this time they took the young Deadpool and put him in the old Deadpool's universe. So now you've got old Deadpool, young Deadpool up there with the old Fantastic Four, and I mean, I literally read the first 30 pages and just went, "What is this?" And went back to the beginning and had to start over because I thought I'm looking at it thinking I thought we're done with all this future crap, and instead here it is again. I didn't. Anyway, dude, it was. And we've discussed this before. This might be something if you sat down and trade paperbacks and got 2 or 3 trade paperbacks or got the omnibus and read it all at one time, maybe this would make sense, but it doesn't right now. Next, we move into our 616 universe and Ant-Man and the Wasp #2.
Which, by the way, is coming to Netflix at the end of this month.
Did you read 1 and 2 of this series?
I read 1. I didn't read 2.
Well, I didn't read 1, and so I read #2. And it's okay. It's got Nadia Pym and Scott Lang, and they're somehow in the microverse. The funniest part is you got these creatures in the microverse that are convinced this giant celestial thing is coming to destroy them. And what it really is Nadia just trying to keep her footing. And she's stepping on them along the way.
That's funny.
It was pretty funny. It was hilarious, actually. It was an entertaining little read. I wouldn't want to spend $3.99 for it, but it was an entertaining little read on Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah. The first issue was okay. It sounds like it got better in the second one. I'll go back and read it. I like the idea of Scott Lang and Nadia Pym having to work together as Ant-Man and the Wasp. So maybe it's picking up with the second issue.
Sure.
Captain America #704. This is Mark Waid's final issue. This is this wrap up of this future story where we're following Steve Rogers' descendants. I'm not going to get into the story because there's just too much to discuss, and if you haven't been reading it, it wouldn't make any sense. But it wraps up that whole storyline with a nice little bow, and we get to something that I've been looking forward to for a long time, which is in the next issue, Ta-Nehisi Coates takes over, and I'm looking forward to that immensely.
Yeah. Next, we have Daredevil #604. As we've discussed, this is a great run of Daredevil. And last issue ended with Daredevil's priest appearing at the door of the mayor's mansion and having some kind of antivenom for whatever this green stuff is that the monster spewed out. Turns out he's a member of the Order of the Dragon, which is kind of an anti-ninja team, which over the centuries has fought behind the scenes to save the Earth.
Yeah, well, the Order of the Dragon has always been this like Templar Knights kind of thing that fights evil in the name of Jesus or whatever. They fight vampires, werewolves, very Van Helsing type stuff. This is the stuff that you see the BPRD doing in Hellboy, that you see Van Helsing doing. It's very medieval knights type stuff. It's up my alley for sure.
Yeah, and it's really good. The best part is at the end of the issue, Kingpin drags himself out of the hospital, possibly off the surgical table, to reclaim his mayoral office.
Yeah, that was a nice ending. That was a good way to end it.
That was really good, actually.
Yeah.
Where are we at? Deadpool Assassin #1. Dude, let's never do this many books again. Didn't we say this the last time we did like 50 books at one time?
Yeah, well, it's what happens when you have 2 weeks worth of comic books, and you at least one of the weeks had like a ton of #1s and the X-Men wedding and a bunch of really important stuff.
Yeah, we've got 2 #1s this week. Deadpool Assassin #1 and Tony Stark #1. This is Deadpool Assassin #1. I like this better than I did the other Deadpool book. And the other Deadpool book was pretty funny. But he's hooked up again with Weasel, who's supplying him armament. And Weasel isn't the old Weasel because he's married now and he's got a family. So he's like all chill and stuff. And, well, of course, Deadpool's Deadpool. So he doesn't accept that. And it does a current thing and a flashback thing. And he's basically taking merc jobs and killing lots of people along the way. So it's really entertaining. Really entertaining.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange #2. So in the last issue, Mark Waid took over the Doctor Strange book with a relaunch, and it's basically Doctor Strange in space. Doctor Strange goes to space to save magic. What happened in the first issue is he got kidnapped by some aliens. Well, he crash landed on a planet and was imprisoned by these aliens. In this issue, he's been imprisoned for a little while. They find another prisoner who's also an alien and throw her in the cell with him. Turns out both of them know magic, so they're able to escape. And there's a potential run-in with some Skrulls coming up in the next issue. It was a really good issue. I'm short selling it because we're trying to get through all of these comic books, but this is really good. I'm enjoying this thoroughly.
Yeah. Exiles #4. You'll notice there's a funny little on the cover. There's funny font, and the #4 is particular. It's because way back when, before you or I was born, in 1961, maybe early 62, Fantastic Four #4 came out, and Ben Grimm, through the aid of Dr. Doom's time machine, became Blackbeard the Pirate.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't impersonate Blackbeard the Pirate. He literally was Blackbeard the Pirate in the past, so he became Blackbeard the Pirate in the future in the history books.
Mm-hmm.
He created an alternate timeline where he was Blackbeard the Pirate. So the Exiles and their team wind up back in the 16 or 1700s with Ben Grimm and Blackbeard and his merry band of Sam Waite and some others. And if that doesn't make any sense, well, you got to read the book because this is really entertaining. They fight lots of pirates. They finally go back to where they're having trouble with the space-time continuum. They get into it, go to the end of everything where they wind up meeting the Time Eater, and it says this is going to be concluded next issue. I don't know if that's the series or the book, but it's going to be concluded, and
it would make sense as a 5-issue miniseries.
I'm kind of looking forward to it because I'm excited to see how it ends. Mm-hmm. At the same time, dude, I'm enjoying this. I don't want it to end.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it too. The Time Eater is definitely exactly who I thought it was going to be.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't put Iron Lad in a comic book and make me not go, a book about time and Iron Lad's here? I wonder if Kang the Conqueror will show up. Yeah, he did. Yeah, of course he did. They've been hinting at him every issue, so.
Yep.
Anyway, Runaways #10 is a comic book that happened.
Marvel 2-in-1 Annual #1 is a comic book that happened.
Tony Stark Iron Man #1 was actually really good. So Dan Slott left Iron Man, or rather left Spider-Man, and is now doing Iron Man. And first of all, Edgar Delgado did this cover, and it's wicked awesome. It's reminiscent of, oh dang, what's his name? I could have told you if I'd not been trying to think of it. Anyway, an Iron Man cover artist from about a decade ago, who did these really complex covers for Iron Man. Yeah, it's really good. Self-Made Man Part 1, which is the beginning story here. We start with 25 years ago. There's a robots playing soccer competition. Understand this is 25 years ago, so this is when Tony's like a teenager, early college. And you know, the team he's competing against they're very primitive robots. The fact that these things can kick a ball and still stand upright is amazing. Meanwhile, Tony shows up and, you know, his robots are doing actual soccer moves like you see the people on TV. Yeah, they're playing robots like professional soccer players.
Yeah, one of them scores a winning goal with a bicycle kick.
Right, exactly. And it's like 24-0 against the other team. Present day, the guy that he whooped the crap out of is still playing with robots in his garage. Excuse me. When Tony Stark in his Ferrari roars up and says, "Hey, what's up? Hey, by the way, our company bought your whole company. We bought it for what was it?
He wants his AI.
Yeah, he wants his AI, the AI that this dude developed. So Tony bought the company. He's like, "Hey, come on, I'm your new boss now. Let's go to Stark Tower." They get in the car. The car flies. Dude's amazed that the car flies. He's showing him all the cool stuff happening at Stark Enterprises, which there's like anti-gravity ping pong and talking cats and dogs, and yeah, it's funny. When a door opens and Tony Stark walks out. And the Tony Stark that had been escorting the gentleman earlier disappears and turns out to have been a hologram the whole time, which was also really neat. It all comes down to there's a emergency. Fin Fang Foom attacks the city. Iron Man goes out to deal with it, and dude's kind of in the middle of the war room as all of this is happening. He's doing giant armor. He's doing small armor to take out whatever this thing is that's controlling Fin Fang Foom, because they figure that he's under some sort of control because he's not acting like Fin Fang Foom. Jocasta's there, who's also a robot. They figure out there's some sort of control disk in his brain, destroy it. Fin Fang Foom goes away. Yeah, dude, this whole comic book is Tony Stark being Tony Stark and being Iron Man,
which was really cool to see him being reset to this. Not a shell of his former self, not his company being at war with the Inhumans, not his company being bankrupt, but Tony Stark being the rich trillionaire playboy and running the world.
Yeah, it is Tony Stark as he's meant to be, as he was always envisioned, and I'm really excited for what Dan Slott has in store for Iron Man.
Yeah, you asked the last time we saw Sauron was. I'm wondering the last time we saw the Controller was.
Oh, dude, because we find out at the end of the comic that it's Controller who's...
Yeah, once you said control disc, once I saw the control disc, I thought that's Controller.
Yeah, dude, it's been forever, at least.
Yes.
I don't even remember what I saw him in originally. It's been so long.
Weapon H #4. He's always been an Iron Man villain.
Yeah, it probably was Iron Man.
I don't remember seeing him in 30 years, but I mean, it was like Iron Man #94 or something was the first time I saw him, or last time I saw him.
It could have been. It could be that he's hadn't really been utilized in that long.
Anywho, Weapon H #4. This I can't remember the dude's name that runs Roxxon Corporation, but this opens with him and one of the Blue Projects guys. And
is it Dario Agger? Dario Agger?
Yes.
Is that him? Yeah.
Yeah. Good little issue.
I always think that's a really cool name. So,
because he's trying to figure out who the Hulkverine is, and this guy knows, and this guy gives him just enough information to track down the Hulkverine's family, which is there when he's hulking out and fighting this guy, and then he surrenders so his family won't be in danger. And again, we're soft-selling it for time. It was a really good issue. I really enjoyed it.
I'll have to go back and read it because I did not read it.
Yeah.
It was assigned to you, and it was one of those I pitched over the side because I had to read 40 comic books this week.
Sure. Quicksilver Dead No More came out.
Yeah, it did. Quicksilver is stuck at being very fast, and he's fighting shadow doppelgangers of himself who are trying to hurt people. Dude, it sounds like this sounds like Barry's stuck in the Speed Force and having to fight time wraiths is what this sounds like. So if you want to the Quicksilver to be the Flash, just make him the Flash.
Yes. Shield #6 came out. I don't understand. This mess wraps up with Anthony Stark leaving a message to young Tony about how Shield is important and the image of Shield and everything Leonardo did and whatever.
Yeah, if you go back and read the first 4 issues, it makes sense. But the fact that they're publishing the last 2 issues, 6 years after the original came out, whatever, dude.
Yeah,
it's not even important anymore.
Yeah.
Why did you bother republishing it at all? You should have just put a trade paperback out.
I don't even know.
Punisher 226. Punisher goes to the CIA headquarters to track down Baron Zemo. He finds Baron Zemo, intends to kill Baron Zemo, gets in a little over his head with Crossbones and some of the other Hydra thugs, gets bailed out by Bucky and is it Black Widow? Yeah, Black Widow. And yeah, he we'll see what happens because he doesn't have the armor anymore. Except at the end, Natasha knocks out Hawkeye, and Bucky and Natasha tell him, hey, pack up your armor and we've got people to kill. So I guess they're going with him to kill all these Hydra folks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next we have Squirrel Girl number 33, where her and Kazar, I don't even know where they are. I don't even care. You're the Squirrel Girl guy. I'm just along for the ride.
Well, if it's Kazar, they're probably in the Savage Land.
Oh, all right. What's this dude's name? Craven the Hunter. I'm sorry. Craven, Kazar, they're all the same person.
Yeah, the guy you went on a tirade about 20 minutes ago?
Yeah, in a different book, because he's being portrayed completely different in that book than he is this book. And at the end, rather than finding the police, Squirrel Girl decides they'll all go to jail. And I can't look at Squirrel Girl without thinking about her and Wolverine hooking up.
Yeah, I have a hard time doing that as well. Yeah. Thor number 1. This is Jason Aaron doing Thor, where Odin's son is Thor again. In the first half of this comic book, he fights the Juggernaut. Hooray! Don't care.
Send more hammers.
Yeah, the other half is actually
send all the hammers.
Yeah, the other half is actually really good. You have Agent Rosalind, the SHIELD agent, trying to find housing for all of the various denizens.
That was entertaining.
Of Asgard in the middle of New York because Asgard's been destroyed. So she's trying to get all these folks who are not used to living on Earth to live in the Bronx. It's really funny. Jane Foster shows up. She's impressed with Thor's new hammer. Thor gets in a fight with Namor. Thor's whole thing here is the reason he was fighting the Juggernaut and the reason he was fighting Namor is he's rounding up a bunch of the ancient artifacts and powerful magic items and weapons that got loose when Asgard was destroyed. And he's also living on a boat in the middle of Newark Harbor. I don't know why, but as he goes to just like chill out for a day after finding a couple of magic things, Loki shows up, and of course he beats the crap out of Loki. Loki's like, "Look, I got a deal for you. I need you to go do a thing," and transports him to I don't know where they are. No, they go to hell. That's it. So yeah, he's got to deal with all that. So it's Thor and Loki, good cop, bad cop, hate each other's guts, but have to work together to save the day, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next, we have Venom number 2, which the app doesn't want to open for me. If I remember correctly, this is kind of the origin of Eddie Brock and the origin of a guy that looked just like G.W. Bridge from the old Cable series, but apparently isn't, and is apparently some other kind of military guy who just looks like G.W. Bridge, who was also had a symbiote attached to him that Nick Fury attached to him when he died. I guess this is going somewhere.
Yeah, I assume so.
Did you read this?
I did. It was.
I can't get I can't get the thing to open. It was okay. It just, I don't want to call it a filler issue. It was more of an origin issue laying the groundwork for where the book is going.
Yeah, the first two issues have been introducing what's going on, and then this issue lays the groundwork and explains a few things about what's happening and gives you some context. I think this is going somewhere.
I assume so. Yeah, the GW Bridge guy, basically died, and Nick Fury used a New Tahiti type symbiote to bring him back to life. Did I summarize that correctly?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a way. It really has to do with the original symbiotes that they found that Nick Fury empowered that squad group with.
Right.
And where he found those symbiotes and why they dug it out of the ground and why that was probably bad and why you released an ancient evil thing that's older than the universe. Yeah. Moving on to Star Wars, we have Darth Vader number 17. This is, I'm not sure if it's the last issue of the stuff going on Mon Cala, but it's the most important one. This is where you find out what the Jedi who was on Mon Cala was up to, what his ultimate plan was, and why he's behaved the way he's behaved. And if you're paying attention to what's going on in the main Star Wars comic currently, you understand now why these two events, how these two events affect each other, and that in fact this Jedi's right. And then it all came to fruition. Essentially, what he did is he betrayed the people of Mon Cala, and he's the one who killed the ambassador, not Darth Vader. The Jedi did it, which started the bombardment of the planet, which is what drew the Mon Cala into the rebellion. And his whole thing is, yeah, lots of people are going to die because I caused this to happen, and now Mon Cala is part of the rebellion, but because of that, you will be the thing that swings the rebellion. And as we're seeing, that's what's working out in the new Star Wars comic, or the current Star Wars comic.
Yeah. Next up, we have Poe Dameron number 28. So you got to help me here. This book is narrated by two characters. And about halfway, did you read this, I assume?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, about halfway through, we learned that what they've been narrating is the events of episode 7, I guess.
It's a little bit. It's stuff. It's bits and pieces we didn't see.
Okay,
in between type stuff.
And then we learned that the narrators are R2D2 and BB-8, which is really cool because they've been communicating with each other, telling each other stories. And toward the end, you realize, oh, this is one tells the other. I feel that the stories are important and that we keep them alive.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Star Wars is that this all happened in a galaxy, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Right.
R2D2 is the one telling the story.
Right.
He's the main character of Star Wars because he's the one telling the story.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then it begins. The Rebel base has been discovered by, I want to say
First
Empire.
Order.
It's not First Order. Thank you. And Poe's going on a suicide mission, and the rest of the Black Squadron is going with him. When does that take place? Does this take place before Episode 8 or during Episode 8?
It's in between.
Okay, that's what I thought. So it's in between
7 and 8.
7 and 8. Okay, all right, cool. A great story. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next issue. It was just, if you're not quite as familiar with the Star Wars chronology as you are, or there's another word for it that's escaping me at the moment, the timeline, the way it all fits together.
Yeah, the order of events.
Yeah, this can get confusing.
It gets confusing for me.
Yeah. And rather than look it all up, I just thought I'd had you help me explain it.
Yeah, but the last few issues of Poe Dameron have been them filling in bits and pieces of what was happening to this group of characters while this thing was also happening that we already saw, like what Black Squadron was doing during the assault on Starkiller Base, why weren't they in episode 9, what they were up to, that sort of thing. Just we're getting answers to small questions that we haven't seen before.
Sure.
Thrawn number 5. This Thrawn book is really good. So Thrawn is attempting to do reconnaissance on a rebel base on this planet. Turns out that the other admiral who's in charge of taking out this base has underestimated his opponents. They get involved with these pirates who are selling weapons, who turns out they already knew from a couple weeks ago or a couple issues ago. And it all works out in Thrawn's favor. It's difficult to describe without you having read this whole series, but it's good. Read it.
It's very good.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of comic books. What was your favorite one, Pat?
Oh my God. I'm just happy we're through with them. Tony Stark number 1, probably.
Yep. Me too. Out of all those, that was definitely my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, it's the one that immediately jumps to mind and immediately stands out. It's got to be Tony Stark number 1.
Oh yeah. I agree.
Yep.
Trying to see what the runner up would be.
I enjoyed that Thor book more than you did, apparently.
Yeah, maybe Spider-Gwen. No, I enjoyed the Thor book. It was just was trying to get through it. Maybe Doctor Strange. Yeah, there's some good ones. Maybe that Captain America book. Yeah,
I really enjoyed that New Mutants book. That Daredevil book was really good.
Yeah, Captain America is going to be my second runner-up, but Tony Stark Iron Man was the highlight of all of these.
Yeah, far and away, man. It was the best book.
Yeah, no doubt. No dump this week because you've got plenty to read, and I didn't keep track of what was in the dump.
There's some annuals there. There's X-Force stuff there. I don't know, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, that is going to wrap us up for this week. We are back. It is a brand new year. We'll be bringing you new episodes every week. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That is the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com, where you can find the alternate covers in the aforementioned story that I want to dig up on Exterminated.
Alrighty. And as things change, lots of things stay the same. Pat, do you have any wisdom for us before we go?
I'm trying to word this so it's in a wise way rather than just a rant. Marvel, fix your friggin' app.
Yeah.
This isn't rocket science.
As things change, they stay the same, and this app is janky.
Yes.
But
Janky is a good word for it.
We love it anyway.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.